Predicting every NFL team's record this year, here we have the Cardinals. The Cardinals have a decent roster, but the division they're in gives them no hope. And you're not winning week 1 in SoFi versus Justin Herbert, it's not happening. Then you're not beating the Seahawks in week 2. You're probably not beating the 49ers in week 3. You're off to an 0-3 start. Then you have a pretty good matchup with the Giants, and the Giants just want it more at MetLife. You're 0-4 now. Now you're 0-5 because you have the Detroit Lions, and then you're 0-6 because you have the Los Angeles Rams. You simply just have one of the hardest schedules in all of football, and it's a little bit disrespectful because you don't deserve it. Because guess what? The Denver Broncos are the next, and I think they're going to be the best team in the AFC, so yeah, good luck with that. You're 0-7 at max. You could have picked up one of these games. And because we're 0-7, we're essentially out of it already. You're losing to the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas, and then you have the Seahawks again, and it doesn't stop, so then you have the Rams again, and you're 0-10 just like that. And then guess what? Because it just doesn't get easier, you have the Kansas City Chiefs, and they are beating you as well. You're 0-11. I'm sorry, Cardinals fans. And you're 0-11, the season's already over. I don't even know what you're doing if you're even showing up to the games anymore, but the Commanders are beating you. You're 0-12. You have the Eagles next. You're 0-13, and then you finally get your first win in the year versus the Jets, but this is still a game you can drop. Like, actually. And then you're not beating the Saints because the Saints are fighting for a playoff spot, and you're 1-14. And then you have the Raiders. I can give you this one just to be kind. You're probably going to lose it, but I'll give it to you. 2-14, and then you lose the final game of the year. 2-15. I'm so sorry, Cardinals fans. This is actually like the hardest schedule I've ever seen for a team that was not anywhere near contention last year. Can Matthew Stafford repeat as the MVP and show that he's good enough to win this division? Let's find out. In week 1, they have the San Francisco 49ers. They win this game easily. Then they have the Giants. They win another one easily. Shocker, right? Then they have a matchup of what could have been the Super Bowl. And I think they win this one even in Denver. I think this is just a tough matchup for the Broncos. Do the Broncos have enough firepower to keep up with the Rams? We'll find out. Then they have the Eagles. I think they pick up this win as well. You're 4-0. You're off to one of the best starts in football. Then you have the Buffalo Bills. They have a lot to prove this year. They're going to come in hot, and they're beating you. You get your first loss of the year to Josh Allen. He's got a lot to prove, and you guys don't. So that's just how it works in football sometimes. Then in week 6, you absolutely run through the Cardinals, and then you run through the Las Vegas Raiders, and then you run through the Los Angeles Chargers in the battle of who really owns SoFi, and then your schedule lightens up for these next 2 weeks. You beat the Commanders and the Cardinals pretty easily. Then you have the Green Bay Packers. I don't think they're going to be that good this year. You're 10-1. You go and face the Kansas City Chiefs at home, and I think you win this game as well. You're 11-1. Then you face the San Francisco 49ers. I think they pick up this win. They're going to split in division. They have to lose a game. They have to lose a bad one. The Rams always have a stinker here or there. And then they're going to beat the Dallas Cowboys because the Cowboys just can't compete with this team offensively and defensively. You add Myles Garrett. I didn't even mention that. Like, that's how good they are. Then you have the Seahawks. I think the addition of Myles Garrett and potentially having Aaron Donald on your team is going to be that equalizer and that little push they need to get over that edge. And they want to prove that they can beat them after they didn't in the postseason. And then they finish off the season by beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and dropping one to the Seattle Seahawks, putting them at 14-3. Seattle and the Rams, they're trading home games here. They both win on the road. I think this is a pretty fair record for them. Is this good enough for them to win the division? The reigning Super Bowl champions are opening up with a Super Bowl rematch versus the New England Patriots, and they are absolutely going to show them why they won the Super Bowl and dominate them. Especially being at home, it's not even going to be close. And then they have a pretty easy start to their schedule. They're going to pick up a win versus the Cardinals, then the Commanders, even though both are on the road, those teams aren't going to put much of a fight up. And then you beat the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers are going to be that good. I know they're going to be healthier, but are they really that good? I don't think so. Then they beat the 49ers because the Seahawks are a literal juggernaut. They beat the Denver Broncos. I think they're just a better version of Denver, and Denver's going to have some figuring out to do. It's going to be week 6 by that point, but the offense could be a little bit of a question still. Are they going to have that high-powered offense like everyone wants them to have? I think Jalen Waddle makes that happen, but I still think the Seahawks are better. Then they face the Chiefs. I think they showed the Chiefs what kind of league they're in comparison to them. I think the Chiefs are still going to be great, but the Seahawks are just that much better. Then they face the Bears. I think they keep up their winning ways. This could be a game that they drop. In all fairness, they could be 7-1 at this point. But 8-0 is pretty fair to me. Then they beat the Cardinals again because it's an unfair matchup. And then they beat the Raiders because that's also an unfair matchup. And then I'm giving the 49ers a win here. They're 10-1. The 49ers always play in division hard. No matter how good or bad they are, no matter what point they're at in the season, they always play in division hard. Then the Seahawks get back on track by beating the Cowboys, beating the Giants, and beating the Eagles. They're going to have their way with the NFC East, no doubt about it. But then they run into LA. LA comes into their house and beats them because they're angry, they're pissed off, they want to show them who's the real best team in the NFC West. And then they go and they take a little bye week essentially in Carolina. They rest up, and they come back and beat Los Angeles at home, putting their record at 15-2. This might be the best record in all of football. They're going to win the division with this. The 49ers are sort of in no man's land to me. I don't think they did enough. They brought back some old wide receivers. I don't think that's enough to really move the needle. And in the division they're in, it's going to be tough. Let's find out. In week 1, they lose to the Rams. Then they beat the Dolphins. And then they beat the Cardinals. And then they're going to lose to the Denver Broncos. I think that's a pretty easy 2-2 split. Then they face the Seahawks. They're going to drop this game. Then the schedule lightens up a little bit for them as they pick up a win versus the Commanders and then the Falcons. And you would think this game's going to be easy going up against the Las Vegas Raiders, but I think they upset them. And now they're 4-4, and you have a hard part of your schedule coming up. The Dallas Cowboys handle business at home, and then you go up against the Minnesota Vikings, and that's a bad matchup for you. And then you go up against the Minnesota Vikings, but you're at home. It's a bad matchup for you, but I think you can squeeze this one out. And you're going to need to, because it only gets worse from here. Because then you have the Seahawks. You're going to win this game. You're at home. You play in division hard. But like I said, it's only going to get worse from here. Because you lose to the Giants after basically winning your Super Bowl the week before. Are you going to lose to the Rams? No, you're going to beat the Rams at home, because I'm being super generous to the 49ers. I don't know why. I don't like the 49ers. Obviously, I'm a Lions fan, and what they did to me that one year in the NFC Championship, I still hold my grudges, but I'm being generous to them here. They're going to split in division at home. But then you have a tough schedule to really end your year. You're losing to the Chargers, you're losing to the Chiefs, and you're losing to the Eagles. Now you're 7-9. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, and you're going to beat the Cardinals to end off your season 8-9. And I feel like I was pretty generous. You could have lost every game to the Rams and the Seahawks and put you at 6-11, but I'll give you 8-9. Drop a follow to see who's next.